Add it up till we got to the sum. Stayed in the rhythm, now we on the drum. Nova mentality, you see how we coming. Real talk only, we keep it 100. Dreams money can't buy, and that's all that we wanted. Wait, now we see what we needed. Putting that work till this mission completed. We feeling blessed, thought we was depleted. Real life winners, we can't be defeated. Stay by our side like we on the drum line. Know that things gon' be hard sometimes. It's a new day, check the forecast. Perfect day for the drum podcast.
I'm the brand manager at Novateur agency.
What's up, world? VP, Brian Franklin. Yeah.
How are you all doing on this fine evening? My name is Colin Fogg.
And we have two guests with us today. So you guys welcome. We'll introduce you in a second. But every meeting we start at Novateur agency, we start with a mini check-in. So we give you one word that kind of sums up how we're feeling. I'll start. I'm feeling magical because all this black girl magic in the podcast today. Our agency does not have a lot of black girl magic. It's only two of us, so
that's
it's
a lot of black girl magic.
It's not. Well, it is.
That's a lot
of black girl magic, but comparatively,
Yeah,
we got a lot of black boy joy. But we are outnumbered at the agency, so we love to see you. I'm glad to have y'all here.
My word gotta be cozy,
I was gonna say chapped because I lost my lip balm this morning and I've really been struggling out here. This one.
That's a real struggle.
Was it Carmen's?
No, it wasn't Carmex. It was just a regular lip balm and everything.
You gotta stop doing brand names.
Okay. Carmex is not what it is.
Shout out to Army Cole and your lip oil, but I don't want to be released from Carmex. So, Jasmine, what's your one word?
My word is settled.
Okay.
It has been a very long day for me today, but it has been a very fruitful and successful day. I feel about 65%. I'm not feeling I'm tired, but I'm very grateful and I'm realizing that I'm in a point in my life where I can be at 65%, but that money's still at 100. So
cut the check, budget approved.
Yes.
Amanda, what's your one word?
Hungry, because I usually would have eaten by this point. I was just in there checking in on the food I was throwing out.
So shout out to MGP alum for coming through for us. Tired, hungry, y'all still showed up. So my first question is actually to my co-host. Since we do have so much black girl magic in the room, I wanted to know, are there black girls, women, in marketing, advertising, mass comm that inspire you?
Honestly, I never really gave that too much thought. I follow Taylor Rooks on Twitter, but honestly, I don't really know too many black girls in this industry. Not because I've been in it, it's just because I'm still new and getting acclimated to it. Just to see these two right here, they're so young, but they're so talented and established, it gives me hope. Black dudes too, but there is a space in this industry for black women. I love it.
Me, I'll probably have to say Regina King. That's somebody I'll say that's been definitely, paying her dues in from different aspects, from having small roles to bigger roles, even going to, voice animation. I feel like she's somebody that's really talented.
I want to know, get some insight, what's it like to be a part of this industry?
I don't think I've ever given much thought to the fact that I'm black in this industry. I think that I came up and I was surrounded by amazing black people. I think I gave more thought to being a woman in this industry than being black in this industry. I actually grew up around the Marcus Grant Project. I grew up in this building at Southside of Lamar. I was around when it first started. I remember almost every class that came through here. So I was constantly seeing a steady stream of really bright, talented men and women in this industry. So that just seemed so normal to me. I knew we were the minority. I'm not confused.
That was normalized for you though.
Yeah, it was really normal. And also growing up in this building, there are also other professionals that call this building home. And a lot of them were black. I didn't really feel like other per se. I've always been surrounded by dope black people, so to me that's always been the standard and not the exception.
Yeah, that's dope. I want to add some context for those of you who are not in the Dallas area or not familiar. Southside on Lamar is huge. You back in the day used to have to be an artist to reside here. I don't think you have to be an artist anymore. Tons of big name people who have lived in the building, have worked in the building. There's an art gallery. There used to be a wine. People have tons of stories about Southside of Lamar and all of our experiences kind of growing up here or here adjacent. So look up Southside of Lamar if you're in Dallas. Come visit the gallery. Come support the local businesses because there's tons in the buildings. Amanda, did you want to chime in with like who inspired you?
I was just sitting here just like envious of that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's one, I wasn't around really like kind of professional creatives of any sort growing up. Like, no, of course, Black people creative naturally, you know, like we all probably creative one way or another. So I grew up with that cultural aspect of it, but like people who are professionals in marketing or designers or even painters or like anything like that, I didn't have as much exposure to that until I went away to college to Clark, Atlanta. And that's when I became kind of engulfed in it. But also, I'm new to the marketing world, to media and marketing. So from the outside looking in, when I decided to make that transition, one of my main barriers that I perceived at the moment was that, like, being a Black woman, because I'm looking through all the websites, I'm looking through all the internships at this place, and then I go to their website and look at all the people that work there, their little staff photo or whatever, and I'm just like, why would they want me there? Like, because clearly they don't. Because there's no shortage of us, you know, who are able and willing to do the work. So and would be amazing at it. So I'm like, that's an active choice at that point, you know. So,
yeah, because we set the culture. So to not hire us is a very, very clear decision.
Exactly. And so seeing that, I even put in like my apps 2 different programs. Like that's what I feel will be my biggest hurdle. Yeah. So to be kind of knee deep in it and having been, I guess, more exposed to other people, I've realized how in the mix I had been, like kind of unbeknownst to myself, because I started to like take notice of certain women who I've encountered in the past. Like, I'm probably gonna butcher her name, but the chief marketing officer over at Netflix. Like, I saw her speak years ago, but I didn't connect it to like the possibilities for me per se. But like women like her inspire me, because when I saw her speak, I followed her on Instagram, and of course you don't know what people's real life is, but she seems like she really values that personal time. Mm-hmm. Like, she goes to all the other countries with her daughter and takes her daughter everywhere. And I'm just like, I love that. Like, that is aspirational at its peak. Like, that's what I would want, because at the end of the day, most of us don't really want work in general. It's like our dream is not to actually be doing the work. It's like we enjoy the creative work that we choose to kind of do, but like ain't nobody trying to like have to day in and day out do certain things just out of obligation. So it's like to see the balance of it, which a lot of people in this industry also don't have. That's something that I value and aspire to.
That's dope. Yeah, I think they had like a yacht party when her daughter turned 13. I was like, this is a yacht party. Like, imagine this 13-year-old is living my dream life. You want to adopt me? Because like, I could be a mentee and an adoptee all in one. Like, we were definitely talking about pool parties, maybe a like trip domestically, but not a yacht party, an international yacht party. That's nuts. So yeah, definitely. And I'm not disrespectful. I was raised right, Miss St. James. Yeah. I'm just calling your names because people know who you are. But if you listen to our podcast, I wasn't being disrespectful, Auntie. Respectfully. So we have 2 former MGP alumni, Amanda Wicks and Jasmine. Did you use your full name or did you use Jasmine Marie? Okay, and Jasmine Marie.
Don't be telling people my government name.
Look, my name is Bria, and that's it. I get it. So Jasmine was a brand manager in MGP for R20 and identifies as a creative producer, agency owner, creative director at large. Amanda is a social media specialist, storyteller, visual artist, and everything in between. Also a PhD student, so shout out to Black women, the most educated group in the United States, and Amanda is in the number. And you are talking about representation in your dissertation. So, also, you have doula in your IG bio. Are you a doula? Like, are you birthing stories or are you birthing babies?
I am a doula, but I'm actually, because I'm still fully in school with a whole full-time job, I haven't been able to really get my foot in it, but it's like I'm available to be that, but I haven't made it the business yet. And I'm really leaning towards being mostly a childbirth educator and a fertility doula specifically. So I'm not really trying to be there when the babies pop out, because then you got to be on call, and I'm not an on-call type person.
You just talked about life-work balance.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think I'm done, but if I change my mind, you might have to break your rule and come to Dallas.
Anybody I know personally who's like, look, I need you, I'm like, absolutely. It's not even a question.
Yeah, I had a doula with my only child, and it was a cool experience. So that's beautiful. How did y'all, well, you grew up with MGP, so you knew you were MGP adjacent. Amanda, how did you come across MGP?
And Dreamville posted about it. Basically, it's like I was following Dreamville, and like I was just kind of saying, I was scouring the internet for opportunities like this. So when they posted about it, I was like, oh wait, it's like a black one? I'm like, I'm trying to do the black program. Like, that's the one that I'm trying to do specifically. And then I go to the page and I see so many people I know who have done this program, and I was like blown away. I'm like,
a lot of people from St. Louis. Really? A lot of people from St. Louis. I feel like it's like behind Texas is St. Louis as far as like attendance. I don't know what that's about, but
shout out to y'all then.
Yeah,
y'all put in that work.
St. Louis really being here strong.
So I don't know how that happened. I think it was one of those things where in the beginning of the program, they had certain people, and then word of mouth is going to trickle down over the years. So I think because they started that way, that's how it ended up. But yeah, once I saw that, I was like, oh, I'll be in good company then. Like, that's when I was like, that seems like the move. So it was really just through that Dreamville post. If they hadn't posted it, I probably still would have never really heard of it, honestly.
That's dope. So we didn't get our roles until right before we launched the agency.
Yeah.
We didn't know what our roles were gonna be, so we were just kind of operating. Like, you'll see in some of our branding, we identify like 1/8 because there's 8 of us, and we just 1/8. We'll do whatever. We can all pick up the slack. We're good. But y'all had y'all's roles early. Did you know that you wanted to be a copywriter? I think you were published already when you joined, and you were already doing agency work. So were you very clear, like, I'm going to go into copyright and I'm going to go in and be a brand manager? Did you know that already?
We had to pick our roles when we applied.
We did too.
Yeah. I feel like they were pretty, straightforward with the, like, this is what you applied for, like, this is what you is,
Yeah, I applied for 2 roles.
I think we got to choose like an alternate, I feel like.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to do copywriting, like, I guess first and foremost, but I would have been equally as happy as a project manager or program manager. I forget which one they use. But that, because up until this point, a lot of my background is in like management. And so that was just a natural fit. That's one of those where like I feel very comfortable being that. Copywriting was the one that I did not feel comfortable being, but that was the reason. Like, that's why I wanted that.
Let me tell y'all something. Amanda's copywriting skills, you feel me?
Immaculate? Is it immaculate?
Right, like, y'all know how it was. You have to figure out your brand. You have to pick your agency name. You have to come up with your look and feel and your voice. Y'all didn't do it together either. You have to do it before y'all kind of get together. It's like that's part of like the growing pains and the first like challenge that you have. So that's trying to figure out what we wanted to do. I genuinely believe like we put together such an amazing video. Shout out to our video team and such an amazing branding. But what set us off, I'm telling you, was Amanda's voice, her copywriting and her voice over our branded video, like that really told the story, that really connected the dots, and I think it helped us pop out in such a bold way that like the alumni were like, yo, like who are these kids? You know, like it really helped us put, for better or for worse, we popped our shit a little bit and we came out strong. We were like, yo, this is what we can do. You know what I mean? We got like video of like different cities and shit, like, you know, like where we're from, and then you got Amanda's voice. Like, I'm telling you, you need to record a sleep podcast because you can take all my money. Like, Amanda has such a soothing, her tone of voice is very soothing. So you know it's authentic, you know it comes from a real place.
Where's the podcast, Amanda?
Big facts. Like, you're actually
Where's the Spotify?
All of us a disservice by not doing it.
I appreciate it.
I need you to know. But yeah, that set it off. So when you told me that like you did copywriting to kind of expand as a copywriter, that it wasn't what you did, like I really didn't believe you. Because it, like, some people can do a role, and as you guys are kind of learning, calling yourself like 1/8, like I said before the camera started rolling, you were like, can you explain to me what the difference between a content strategist and like this shit? And I'm like, none of that means anything, to be honest. Okay. Like, I don't really feel like a lot of people are gonna tell you that, but none of it means nothing. Like, everyone has kind of their thing that they're good at, but we also live in a world where being good at one thing is not enough. And it don't fly anymore. And so people who call themselves like maybe content creators, which I feel like you would feel comfortable calling yourself a content creator. Like, you got your influencer flow rocking.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But it's like,
I'll tell you how long I've been reading you.
Look. Oh, okay. But like, calling Amanda a content creator really does her a disservice to how creative that she is. Because it's like, okay, well, everyone's a content creator, but she's putting together a story, she's putting together a look and feel. She has, you know, an authentic vibe and a connection with her followers that companies are trying to capitalize off of. They're trying to mimic and incorporate in their, you know, we see like the social media managers who talk about pushing P. You don't know what that fucking means. You know what I mean? And it's like you really are trying to catch this wave, and like, but people like Amanda just have that, you know? Like, they have it so naturally. And to think that you're like copywriting isn't what you've been quote unquote doing your whole career is like, it's actually like not true. Like, you've been doing it the whole time. You just haven't called yourself that. And that happens so often in this generation of creatives because we do so much. You know what I mean? That we don't call ourselves video editors and content creators and copywriters. And,
but that's the difference,
you know what I mean?
Between Instagram and a check.
But I mean,
it's like knowing what to call yourself. It's like knowing that I'm a copywriter, knowing I'm a video editor. Because it's one thing to say like I took a selfie, but now I'm an artist because it's a self-portrait. Like,
there you go.
It's just the language. It's really just saying like, well, is it a selfie? Is it content? Like, are we making up stuff or are we ideating? So those words really
hold weight.
Yeah, they hold weight. And it seems silly, but they make the difference truly between a check and just like, oh, we just having fun.
Oh, this is cute. Yeah.
It does, but I think it says something to not pigeonhole yourself just because of that push to kind of have to be defined, I guess, or to be put in a box. Because I can say this is true for Jasmine. I can say this is true for probably everybody who's on the team, everybody who's in that room right now. Like, we're multi-hyphenate people, right? And so it's like the idea of finding that balance when you present yourself kind of to the world, because you don't want to sell yourself short. Because I could just put copywriter, but when I hear copywriter, I just think of some white dude, for real. Like, I just think of some white dude sitting in the room, and like,
I'm definitely thinking of like somebody in the cubicle who doesn't look like any of us.
I mean, it is what it is as far as like
what the industry requires of you at certain points. But I think as we put ourselves out in the world, it's important to lean into all of those things. Like, because also you just never know where you're gonna land. Like, you never know which facet of your creativity is gonna end up being the most valuable or like the most marketable or whatever to the world. And so it's almost like when I put stuff out there, it's like a a signal that I can do these things too, and not just like write. So even I change my bio literally all the time.
You really?
I like my bio like
Weeks probably, because I'm just like, I don't know, how am I feeling today?
so like I used to have like
Student in there, and then it's like I don't really care about that though right now. So I'm gonna put like whatever, and like even Jazz, as I watch you do everything with Crown Mag, I'm like, she is expanding for real, you know, like when you just in Tulum, I'm just like, first of all,
journalist.
I done ever seen in my life.
Finest journalist ever. Facts.
I'm like,
sis.
if you down
They're on a journalism mission, looking like that.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
But I love watching that expansion as you get.
It's definitely an expansion. It's happening for me in such real time. It's challenging me. It's been the most challenging one, because I have to fight that imposter syndrome of like, why am I here? And that's something I feel like I deal with a little less than I used to, but it's hard because, you know, I've never worked in an editorial space, not on this level. So the fact that they're taking kind of like this risk on me is not lost on me. But also understanding that I literally couldn't have made a more perfect job for who I am as a person, and the fact that my values and my purpose in life, which I only recently discovered what I felt like was the basis of everything I'm going to do, at least for the next 10 years. You know, like I feel like as a creative, sometimes we kind of float and we're just like, we go from project to project, and this is cool and that's fun, and like, oh, we did this over here and we did that over there. But it's like, I noticed that like really like artists that were really in tune with their work, they can always draw it back to like, oh, this was the phase in his life where this was the basis of his work. And this was the phase in his life where watercolors was his shit, you know? And this is the phase in his life where he started sculpting, and like you could see, you know, like how they talk about it. And so I was like, okay, what's the base of like,
The era.
yeah, like what's the base of what I'm doing and what I'm working on? Like, and I discovered, you know, something that I had been doing on accident, which was redefining luxury as leisure. That's the basis, that's the cornerstone of everything I do. It was the cornerstone of the shoot that I put together for Crown Mag, and it's the reason why we started having the conversations about me producing the magazine, because I always want to show Black people in leisure and kind of not necessarily break us away from luxury in a traditional sense, but it's like, why does so much of our luxury involve us giving our money to people who hate us? You know what I mean? And then calling it success.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a big trap. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, how do we actually feel about this shit? Like, okay, you touch your first million as a Black person. You go out, you buy the Benz. You know, you get the G-Wagon, you get the Louis Vuitton, you get the Gucci, whatever, you're laced up, drip down. You put together a guide to teach other Black women how to touch their millions, and then you make another million off of that, off of you selling the $99 webinar to the other Black women about how they can have a Christian Dior bag in a year like you did. You know?
Let's talk about it.
Right. Let's really talk about it, but it's like, what are we selling them, man? Are we selling them lifestyle creep? Are we selling them, oh, you made $1 million, so now you spent 800,000?
You broke.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I oh, she's on a private jet. Like, the fuck you taking private jet flight? You know how much a private jet costs? It's like 20, 30 G's, like a one way. Like, I think like New York to LA is like 30 grand. Why are you doing that? You touched your first million. You
Not Frontier.
Why? But I mean, big facts. Like,
No product.
what exactly are
Frontier full?
we defining as luxury? Because what I learned in a past life, I was a stylist, and I worked for a company called Intermix New York.
Okay.
How long you worked there for?
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so was the top sales in Dallas. They ended up closing the Dallas store to open the Houston store, and I didn't want to relocate, so they made me a traveling stylist. So they would send me to the Hamptons in the summer, and I would work out of the Hampton store. And they like put you up in a house, and sometimes I work at the Prince Street store in New York, and then they would fly me to DC. I work at the M Street. So like I was constantly being kind of shifted around because, I mean, to be honest, I was fucking good at it. So they brought me. I was the only salesperson from the state of Texas that ever got to go to the Hampton. Competing nationally, my percentages were just as high as the New York girls, just as high as the LA girls. So it's like, they were like, oh yeah, come through. Being out there and realizing one, the Hamptons feels like a different world. It don't feel like America. It don't feel like, you feel like you're living in a weird ass fever dream. Where it's just like, yo, I'm biking and I still ain't passed this fucking house. You know, like 3 people live here for 3 months out the year. Like, and then it just sits there.
On anchors.
You know what I mean? And they have a staff of 10 people to keep the house up for the 3 people that come and stay there for the 3 months out the year. So it's like, I was the only black person out there. I got so excited when I saw another black person, and half the time it'd be like a really tan white girl. And,
Oh, wow.
you know?
Like, oh,
That's good.
I was like, damn, they got me. But no, I realized when I was out there, like, why don't we have this and why can't we have this, but also should we have this? Is this ethical to have this much fucking house money? Like, what exactly is the luxury around this? Like, what does this really mean? Is it like a tax haven? Is it a flex? Like, why do you, in my mind, I was just like, yo, imagine getting to your bedroom and you forgot something in the kitchen. And the kitchen is 2,000 fucking square feet away.
Right.
Like, it just didn't make sense to me. But
So how
but what I started to realize being out there was like, what these people really have is leisure.
Mm-hmm.
They have the ability to move slow. They have the ability to not rush. They have the ability to pay for things that make their lives easier. And they don't have to think about it. Right? So like, how can we extract that without needing to be a multi-millionaire or a billionaire to feel that in our lives? And I feel like black people deserve rest and we deserve leisure, and it's something that hasn't been afforded to us in the past. So I've made it my personal mission to constantly reshape the image of luxury as leisure, to be someone that you can see me, someone who's sitting here who's not a fucking millionaire, but I can fly to Tulum tomorrow if I wanted to, and I can stay there until I feel like coming back. This is the life I've created for myself. I struggled and I sacrificed to get to this. So I'm definitely not gonna sell you a $99 webinar on how I can do that. But I will direct my work so that if you ask me about it, I will tell you and I will educate you and I will let you know. I only spend like $400 when I go to Tulum for the week.
That's pretty good.
People be looking at me like I'm balling.
It's Tulum though.
I mean, like, why does expensive mean fun? You know what I mean? Like, when did we get to the point where you gotta be at the yacht party? I noticed some people were going on vacations for the fucking Instagram photos. Like, they weren't even going because they actually like Jamaica. They were going because everyone got a picture on the little float and they want a picture on the float.
Everybody got a stunt nowadays.
Right, and so I'm just like, are you really even enjoying yourself? I've made it my life's work to show black people, especially black women, that, you know, there's no, in my mind, I don't dream of labor. In my mind, there's no reward for struggle. In my mind, I don't get extra woman points because I cook and clean every day and I fucking like, you know, like sacrifice and I put myself last and I, you know, like, which is what women tend to do. We tend to contribute so much unpaid labor and then we kind of feel not superior, but you know, in our minds, we like, oh, do you know how tired I am? You know what I mean? Like, you get together with your people and they'll be like, oh, I'm so tired. Yeah, I'm tired too.
I'm tired too.
I'm more tired than you.
Right.
Like,
You
Like, that's
65,
something
girl, I only got 50.
She's like, I'm 2% out here.
Right.
You ain't more tired than me.
Right. You ain't more tired
Ain't
than me.
nobody
And
tired.
And
I'm
I
like,
cooked, I cleaned, I did my homework,
Right.
I went to work, I did this.
Man.
Yeah, I definitely find myself doing it, I'm not gonna lie.
my mentor, and then I'll fucking shut up. But my mentor
It's a
told
podcast,
me,
she's
I'm
supposed to
sorry.
talk.
My mentor told me something that really changed my life, and it was that she had a cook, she had a maid, and these weren't expensive things. This is not back in the day. Your maid can be like $200 or $300 depending on the size of your house or your apartment. Have them come once a month, fold all your clothes, and then you just maintain in between. This is not an unattainable thing for us anymore. Like it seemed like it used to be. You could have someone meal prep your shit, $100 a week, $200 a week. That's what you're paying on groceries. So it's like there's so many things that she said, you know what? So it's now become irresponsible of me to waste my time and energy doing something as mundane as cleaning just to feel like what? Like woman enough, accomplished enough, like I'm, you know, no, like I'm losing money. And that's how she sees it. I'm losing money on that. And as a CEO, my time is more valuable than cooking and cleaning. So if I took 4 hours to clean my house and I'm exhausted, but I feel like that's as a woman, I'm supposed to come home, you know, I'm supposed to do this. If I took 4 hours to clean my house, when I'm at work, I can make X amount in 4 hours. There's so many things they take off their plate so they don't have to make decisions about what they wear, what they eat, what they do. Somebody else is making that decision for them and they're paying them for that. Why? They're paying them for the brain power to be able to make high level decisions and not waste their decisions on what am I wearing today? What am I eating today? Did I clean? Did I do laundry? Like they take all that off their table. We need to do more of that, okay?
You like answered tons of questions that I didn't get to ask because I want to know how you define luxury, but I love that you're defining luxury as leisure. Like thinking of luxury as something that you can't purchase necessarily. It's not a tangible something that you can hold. It's not Gucci. It's not diamonds. It's not this. It's not that.
It's very individual.
Being very to do what you want to do with your time, and I love that. I'm a black woman who grew up in a house with a maid, but dating in a world where men expect you to like do that labor has been really interesting because like that's my non-negotiable. It's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that work. Like if you want to like cohabitate with me, like that's not work I'm going to do. I'm happy to pay for it, but I'm not. It's not for me. I don't want to wash clothes. I don't want to do none of that, and I'm not going to. It's interesting in our community how people respond to that. And so,
well,
it is
in
a
the black
luxury,
community,
but it doesn't have to be this
people take like
they have apps for this now. Like it's $30. She gonna come and get the clothes and bring the clothes back.
Your dog, fold your clothes, like all of that.
I'm supporting a small business.
Well, I will say, like, I know some people they do find leisure in doing those activities, like the cleaning and like, you know, folding clothes. Like some people actually find like
I find leisure at the beach.
Absolutely. No, I know people who genuinely love cleaning and that clears their mind.
Well, your grandparents.
You know, the action of cleaning, you know, like people who like to garden. The action of gardening.
I don't want to have to.
Yeah, it's like it's soothing for them. So I like again, leisure is like leisure for you could mean like you don't have to work on Sunday so you can clean your house.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if that's something that you enjoy doing, but it's having the ability to say, I'm not gonna go to work so I can clean my house because I like to do that. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. For me personally, I just don't, I mean, I still cook and I still clean, don't get me wrong. But it's like, I started to realize, how could I spend this time? And also, ain't no fucking award for doing this shit. Like, there's no like, oh, good job. You like, you wasted 5 hours cleaning your whole house and you have a debt due for someone that's trying to give you some money. You know what I mean? Like good job.
As procrastination, actually.
Right. It just doesn't, it doesn't make sense. And I think as black people who want to talk about it, we like to play the suffering Olympics. You know what I mean? Like,
is that a black people thing or is that a under 40 people thing?
I think that's a black people
thing.
Right?
No, the suffering Olympics is very much, in my opinion, an over 40 thing.
Okay.
Right? I read a book. It's called Men Don't Love Women Like You. And it was an amazing book. It was written, you know, I'm very cautious about reading books written by men about women. Facts. Right? So I came in real like side-eye. But it turned out to have a pretty good premise. And basically the concept was like, there are still women who believe that their worth is in what they do for a man.
Definitely.
So if you ask a woman, ask any woman, what makes you a good woman? I deserve.
Yeah.
I deserve a break-in. I deserve to be flown out. I deserve to come home to a room full of flowers. Okay, what makes you a good woman? I guarantee you'll hit bingo. I cook, I clean. I don't know how
you're an adult. So you adult, and you can pop on the handstand.
Right?
Like,
Yeah. I was about to say.
I know where you were going.
But I didn't know how deep we was trying to get.
We here now.
I got my pussy popping. You know what I mean? I got the best shit on the shit. Like that. That's really like the top. I feel like. Any normal woman, they're like, oh, I do this for him. He ain't never got to worry about that. He ain't going to work because I got it. I throw it back. I do yoga. Like, I eat my pineapple. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, everybody can do that. Everything that men previously needed, quote unquote, women for can be outsourced. What makes you a good man outside of you got money or you got a job? Everybody got a job. Like for the most part, black people aren't. We got jobs. Women are educated. Men are educated.
So I believe in a lineage of creativity. Who inspires you? Who has inspired you? What have been the most keystone things or people?
Wildly enough, I've always been insanely inspired by Black men.
Okay, I get that.
Like, it's twofold. It's Black women and it's Black men. I've always had amazing Black men in my life that have inspired my work. And kind of pushed me to have that edge that you kind of need to have as a woman in an industry that is, not a woman-dominated industry.
Definitely.
And I believe in a balance of energy. I've never looked at my femininity as a handicap.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually looked at it as a superpower.
It
It is. But I also believe in having a really good balance of masculine and feminine energy. There's like a reason we complement each other so well, in my opinion. Because masculine energy is like, when you want to get shit done, like, that's masculine energy. That's a masculine trait. Like, we all have that in us. You know what I mean? And then when you want to, like, make someone feel welcome, like, Strauss just refilled my water cup. I didn't ask for that shit. Like, he saw it was getting low, and he knows I'm hungover. You know what I mean? Like, that, look, and that's a feminine energy, right? That isn't, I'm not calling him feminine. I'm saying, like, that's a balance.
Yeah.
Everyone has both. And women do this so well. You know what I mean? Making people feel at home. Being hospitable. Making people feel very welcome. Like, that's a feminine energy. So I think what informs my work has always been seeing an amazing balance between masculine and feminine energy and how it moves in the universe and how it moves in the relationships in my life, the people that I look up to. I've always had a Black angel, a Black woman who has sought me out in every phase of my life to guide me. And I do genuinely think they're my spirit guides because I've never sought them out. They always come and find me. And I've always had amazing Black men to work with and to partner with and to look up to that, it's just, it helps me balance my own energy. And it's like, some days I feel very masculine and I want to get shit done and I want to do it now. And I don't want to mince my words. And I don't, I want to just be like, yo, this is what we doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then there's other days where I'm like, how's everyone feeling? What are we doing today? I want to be soft. So I think that's what informs my work.
Amanda, same question. Particularly because you identify as a tomboy, does that shape how you feel that you're perceived in an industry that is male dominated? Do you find that maybe doors are more open for you? Shout out to Khadijah James for inspiring all the writers everywhere. Right. I definitely was gonna work for Flavor even though it didn't exist. So how does your identity as a woman inform you?
When I read the question, I really had to sit back and think because I honestly don't think it has negatively impacted how I'm received in certain spaces. The last space I've really been in like that is with school, and it's like I go to Vanderbilt and it's a very, white place. I made kind of a vow to myself from jump that I wasn't about to code switch. I wasn't about to do none of that because in my previous program at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, I did. Like, I felt like I had to perform, like so many of us do. And I was miserable in feeling like I had to keep up the performance, right? And so by the time I got to